Lizard banging racist absolutely put up what some might say is a good fight. However, I all think we kind of agreed that a monk versus a warlock isn't always going to go down well. However, I do think it's funny that we all got to witness two racists going at each other, talking about morality. This man is so upset. This man is banging a lizard folk. But in the end, for not paying attention, our boy caught that mollywhopping. After losing manga's biggest goat, watching her team get taken down systematically, and then getting roasted. Unlike Nubara, our girl doesn't sit out for half the story. Girl pulls on a good old American and pulls herself up by the bootstraps, charred like an overdone steak and all. Makes an absolute abysmal deal with the devil. And now, apparently, has to go into customer service. Not what I expected. But in chapter 17, we get some massive lore drops. And so let's jump into the latest chapter of my manga, The Devil's Deal. I want to answer a question about the thing because as some of you noticed, it reads left to right. The first book is left to right, but when you get to chapter 10, it goes right to left. Night of Slaughter doesn't do that, so why, Dark? Why does it do that? And that's because Night of Slaughter is a true manga, and Devil's Deal Chapter 10 Plus is a true manga. Well, the first book of Devil's Deal is definitely stylized like a manga. The first book reads left to right, therefore it is a graphic styled manga. But once you go Chapter 10 and beyond, I swapped it to become a true manga. Chapter 17 starts out with Selma just floating into the infinite abyss with a thing attached to her chest that isn't a bra. As she's screaming hello, eventually something does answer back. And it is, it's horrifying. It's a Jupiter-sized Cyclops squirrel with elk horns and Cthulhu tentacles. I know, girl. I know. I feel you. If that wasn't horrific enough, it opens its eye and then shoots her into the infinite expanse of knowledge. Where the first scene we get is between Reaper, goddess of death, getting smoked. Girl is breathing all kinds of heavy as she goes up against Cypher, goddess of the void. But it's here that we get our first big lore drop, where Cypher drops that her duty, her purpose, is to consume all things. And I want you to keep in mind, she is one of the world's most popular gods. Like, people cheer when she comes around. What's even funnier is she's never made it a secret what her end goal is, and people still love her. The only other god that really comes close to her is the unofficial goddess of music, Reaper, goddess of death. I'm noticing a trend here. But this finally does answer one of your questions that y'all have had for years at this point. Cypher says, your insistence to beat me in melee will be your end. Reaper says, shut it. It has to be me. They'll use your head as a weapon. They'll destroy everything you've built. Of course, we get the line about destruction of everything. But then Reaper says, but if I kill you, then you can still teach me things. How can a dead god teach somebody things? To which Cypher says, I have faith you'll make a fine goddess without me, little death. To which Reaper takes exception to. But then we get the line, all I ask is you don't cut off my head. I don't want to exist like that. Before Richard gives her that Diddy treatment, non-Diddy. Because Reaper is actually a ghost, so she's almost transparent and can go through solid material. But it finally answers your questions. The gods themselves here acknowledge that they can die. But we have to acknowledge that it doesn't appear to be the death that we think it is. It doesn't seem to just be the end for a god that is killed. But the most important thing is look at the relationship between these two gods that are rivals, that are destined to fight each other, that are against each other. Does this seem like two gods that hate each other? Look at how Reaper clings on to her shirt. Look at how desperate Reaper is to kill Cypher. We got 3 more sections to cover in the latest chapter, so go ahead and get caught up on the series. Grab a physical copy while I still have some left because they're going fast. And I'll see you in tomorrow's video.